What's up, everyone? Stephen Curry here, and on behalf of Aisha and myself, I want to welcome you all to the National Student Support Accelerator Conference. Through our work at our foundation, Eat, Learn, Play, we've seen firsthand the impact that unlocking literacy can have on kids in our adopted hometown of Oakland. It fosters confidence, motivation, and joy. And high-impact tutoring can help set them on the path to lifetime learning. At Eat, Learn, Play, we're deeply committed to investing in the support that students, teachers, and tutors need so that all our kids can become strong readers. And we are so appreciative of the work that you do every single day to make this a reality. From supporting students in the classroom to researching the most effective strategies to advocating for solutions on a local and state level. Thank you for your work, your commitment, and your belief in a future where all young people can reach their full potential.
The work that we know is such a fan, so I'm very happy with that. How exciting that Steph and Aisha Curry are such big fans of high impact tutoring too. So sports, heroes, parents, advocates are part really of what makes high impact tutoring a reality for students. But it takes many more players, many people who are here today. So before we go any further, I want to recognize the range of people in the field and in this room, because I actually think that's what makes this conference so special, is that we're not just researchers, or we're not just tutoring providers or tutors, or district leaders or state leaders. We really have the whole complex group of people here that support this movement really to make sure that students have access to such a powerful relationship-based tutoring. So however you came to this work and whatever role you play in it, again, whether you tutor, whether you're a teacher or a school leader or a district leader or a state leader or a researcher, an advocate or a philanthropist, you belong here, and we're really glad that you're here today. So 5 years, it's crazy. I know that might seem like a relatively small milestone, even though it is a beautiful logo, I think, that we put up there. But the last 5 years have seen one of the more impressive periods of change for the education field, and tutoring's really been the center of it. We've been through a lot since this conference started 5 years ago, and I want to take a moment to celebrate that before we start our day. So for some of you, this is your first NSSA conference. I think you'll be amazed at the feeling of it. And you may be new to high impact tutoring, or you may have been doing this for years and just found your way to us. So I'm curious how many from kind of each group of how many conferences you've been to are here today. So if this is your first conference that you're attending, clap once. All right, so we have a good combination. What about in the 2 to 3 range? And the ones who've been sticking it out with us the whole time in the 4 to 5 range. Okay, that was pretty evenly distributed, so I think that's a really good sign that so many of you have come back, but we continue to grow as a community. So welcome. You are joining a community that's been building sometimes stubbornly since 2021, and you're exactly in the right place to get caught up on high impact tutoring. We are really glad you're here to bring fresh eyes to the field if you're new, and we're really glad you're here to help us understand where we are and how to move forward if you've been part of this for a long time. The people who have been here for a while have watched the conference grow from a really small gathering we started in Providence, Rhode Island, to what it is today. And you've been part of research, of pilots. We started by working with a few districts around the country to see what it took to implement high impact tutoring. And it wasn't easy. We just, you try it and you see what are the barriers and how do you get over those barriers. And that's how we've learned over time. The range of experience in this room is itself a marker of how far high impact tutoring has come. 5 years ago, you could count the people who devoted serious professional energy to students getting access to this powerful support on your fingers, on your hands. This year, we reached our conference limit really immediately, I think within a week or something like that, and still have the largest wait list ever. We're a bigger community than ever, and one more inspired and more grounded in real successes and all these proof points, and that is not a small thing. Today is the perfect day to reflect on these 5 years, what we want for the next 5 years, and for us who can do the work to bring this powerful relationship-based instruction to students, I would kind of sum up the goal that the bar for quality in tutoring has been raised. We started and we didn't really know what we wanted, but we've raised that bar to really know what it takes to be good. And our shared work is to empower the humans in our schools to meet that high bar. And that's why we're all here, is to figure out together how we can do this. I had a conversation recently with the reporter Linda Jacobson from the 74, and we were reflecting on how even in the last 2 years, there was so much opportunities for things to derail in the tutoring field. And to be honest, leading into 2025, I was worried, I think our whole group was worried. COVID relief funds were set to expire. A new federal administration was coming in. School budgets were tightening. And tutoring, this thing that many of us here have spent years building, was being called by some a pandemic fad. It was something that was just going to be short-lived, something that had served its moment and was on its way out. We had real conversations on our team about what came next. What would we need to say differently? What we needed to do differently? We were ready to shift, to make the case in a completely different political environment to a completely different audience. And then something strange happened that we fully didn't predict. The field just held. States kept committing. Principals kept prioritizing tutoring, especially in the highest poverty schools. A recent survey found that 45% of principals reported providing high-intensity tutoring in the first full school year without pandemic relief funding. So that was the last information we have on it. So no COVID relief funding, 45% of principals. In high poverty schools, that number is 64% nationally. And 91% of schools offering tutoring said it was working. Even the federal government has chosen to prioritize high-impact tutoring as a strategy worth investing in. So I've been sitting with this question ever since. Why? Why did tutoring persist when so many past interventions and ideas haven't? Why did education leaders navigating budget cuts and staffing shortages and political change keep choosing this not very easy thing to implement? I think tutoring persisted because it is fundamentally a powerful relationship. And relationships are hard to cut. When a teacher sees her most struggling reader light up, he has the time to sit with him 3 mornings a week, working through the exact thing he was missing. She doesn't need a policy brief. She knows. That's what such a powerful force. That you see it. When you see it, it's really hard not to want it. And I think it's an idea whose time has genuinely come. What I want you to leave with today are 2 things. I believe more firmly than ever after 5 years of this work, and they're connected. The first is about raising that bar. And the second is about empowering people to clear that raised bar. Let me start just briefly with what I mean by raising the bar. What the last 5 years have shown us is that the bar for quality in tutoring has been raised, and that's a good thing. This week we released a new research brief synthesizing 5 years of what we've learned. And one finding, for example, stopped me. When girls are paired with female math tutors, they don't just perform better on assessments, they develop stronger interest in STEM fields. A single consistent human relationship changed not just what a girl could do, but who she believed she could become. And Molly Sander, who's visiting from Germany and gave a talk yesterday. It's over there. He presented results from Germany that showed that the tutoring program there didn't just affect grades, but actually affected labor market outcomes for the students in the program. So these are big things. That's what we're talking about when we talk about high impact tutoring, that it's high impact, that it really, really matters. So what has NSSA done with these learnings and others from the last 5 years? Early in our history, NSSA, so that's our group here, worked with partners to develop tutoring quality standards, and you can see them in this program here. It's a framework built from research, and I think what's so special today is this kind of combination of research and practice. Research that defines what high-impact tutoring actually looks like, that it's high dosage, that it's a consistent and well-trained tutor, that there's strong tutor-student relationships, there are good instructional materials, and smart use of data. These are not arbitrary check boxes. They reflect the best available evidence on what moves the needle for students. When we first published those standards, they were ambitious, really ambitious, and honestly a bit of a dream. A research community's best guess at what excellence in tutoring looked like. And we wondered if it would hold up. They did, in fact, hold up. That's kind of nice when research works. And that is really what I mean for the field to mature. We let the evidence raise the standards. We said, we can look at this, and sometimes it doesn't work. But if you do it this way, it regularly works. And those are the standards. The evidence base behind these standards has grown really enormously. Study after study has confirmed that the closer the programs get to meeting these standards, the more student outcomes change. So when we recently updated our standards, including virtual tutoring on the importance of coaching and having a tutor who's human during the school day, we were building on a foundation that turned out to be solid and adding nuance as the evidence came out to support it. These standards are not unattainable. They're not an unattainable idea. We have proof points emerging every year that many of you are producing. You are showing us what it takes to do this well and really impact students. Which brings me to the tutoring program design badge, as many of you know, because the badge is how we turn standards into something programs can act on. So at NSSA, we work with programs to help them try to meet some of the standards that have shown in research to be important. At our 2024 conference, we launched the badge with a pilot of 7 programs. Last year, I shared that 30 providers had earned one, and today I'm proud to say that we've awarded more than 50 badges since the program began. So that's 50 programs that are doing the work at what appears to be the most effective way of doing it. And that's just the ones we've badged. There are many more around the country too. If you or your organization has earned a tutoring program design badge, would you please stand? Each badge represents a program willing to hold its model up to evidence, receive feedback, improve, and come back stronger. States are beginning to use the badge to guide how they vet tutoring programs. Foundations have used it to evaluate proposals. That's what a field that takes its own evidence seriously looks like. Someone was talking to me today about, this is great because it's like a really narrow area and everybody can really support each other because we're all going for somewhat of the same thing, even though we come from different contexts. And I think what's so exciting about something like the badge and the way that we've seen programs converge, they differ in some areas and converge in these important aspects, is it shows a field that's informed by policy that gets better over time and that really thinks together how to do things right. Now here's what all of that, the research, the standards, the badge, the rising bar, ultimately comes down to. The most important variable in high impact tutoring, the humans in the school building. Not the platform, not the model, not the contract. The human who makes sure a student gets to their session The human who notices when a student isn't progressing and asks why. Dosage in particular doesn't just happen. I think we know very much that dosage is one of the hardest things to get right, and it doesn't just happen. Dosage is the outcome of hundreds of small human decisions every single week. It's the instructional coach who arrives 15 minutes early on Wednesdays to make sure every student in the virtual program has a working headset, a charged device, and a stable connection, because he's learned the hard way that a 5-minute tech glitch at the start of a session can derail the whole thing. It's also the principal who sits down with the tutoring provider's data every week, not just to look at aggregate numbers, but to ask who's flying under the radar, who's showing up but not making progress, where does the exit ticket data tell us something isn't working, and then course correcting based on those answers. They are the reason the research numbers hold or don't hold. These seemingly small efforts are the heart of dosage, and high dosage is the heart of academic gains. The humans in the school building are not just delivering the intervention, they are the engine that makes the intervention possible. And 4 years ago, I said I couldn't imagine most struggling students learning without a human relationship. And that is still true. AI has a role to play. We're going to talk about AI quite a bit today. As a support for tutors, as a scheduling tool, and as a way to reduce the operational burden on humans in the building so they can focus on what only humans can do. Technology can make humans more effective, but it cannot substitute for the human connection at the center of high-impact tutoring. Only about 5 or 10% of students have the self-regulation skills to engage in standalone AI tools as intended, unless they have a human who's motivating and engaging them. The human is not optional in this. Today's session will dig into exactly this balance. What thoughtful AI design can do for tutoring programs and the humans who run them. I hope you'll lean into those conversations. Not all the questions in the field, technology or otherwise, are answered. We still have a lot to learn about how to tutor multilingual learners with the same quality and fidelity we provide other students. Translation is a step, but translation alone is unlikely to be the answer. Similarly, we still have questions about tutoring students with learning differences. We're still learning how to scale with fidelity for all students to serve more students without losing what makes the model work. These are hard questions, but we now have people to answer them. We have a research community, many of you here, generating evidence faster than ever. We have states and practitioners who are not just receiving research, but contributing to it. We have funders giving districts the resources they need to build what works for them. And we have a field using the same language, the same standards, and the same commitment to quality. 5 years ago, someone had to make the case that this was worth doing. Today, the case is stronger than it's ever been. Before I make one final ask of everyone in this room, I want to take a moment to recognize the people who make this day possible. Thank you to our conference advisory group of district leaders who shaped what you'll experience today, and to everyone who submitted session proposals. We had so many good ones that we're actually going to do a series of webinars so you can continue to see what's going on in tutoring throughout the fall and the next year. Thank you to the educators here, classroom teachers, tutors, and school leaders, our advisory groups of educators, families, providers, and students. All of you make this possible. To many state and district leaders, researchers, and partners as well, you really do so much to allow us to be here today. This conference also wouldn't have been possible without the Overdeck Family Foundation, the Walton Family Foundation, and Jamie Halper from here at Stanford. They have been supporters of NSSA and this conference from the very beginning. Thank you to our sponsors, lead sponsor Pearl, champion sponsor Pencil Spaces, and dinner sponsors. I hope you all enjoyed great dinners last night. Accelerate Air Tutors, Paper Pearl, Pencil Spaces, Saga, and Tutor.com. And thank you to our NSSA team, researchers, engagement staff, and operations who make this all happen. So before we begin our day, I have one ask. Think of one person, as you go into this today, think of one person back in your community, someone in a school building who is making tutoring happen. The coordinator, the principal, the coach, a tutor, the one who shows up early, fixes headsets, studies the data, tracks down Maddie, the one no one is writing a press release about. Find out what that person needs and go home and make sure they have it. That is my ask. We are so glad that you're here today. Now let's get to work.